So welcome everyone to the very last session of the 5th chapter. Chapter 5 we will be finishing today. We already completed. We are going to just review the shlokas, chant the shlokas, reflect upon what the 5th chapter taught us, so, and I would like to hear your thoughts also on the whole chapter. Okay, so we'll get started here. Om. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavatam Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Kratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Vridavarshini Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayini Ambatvam Anusantathami Bhagavad Gita Bhavatveshini Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pulla Ravindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajwalito Jnanamayah Pradipaha Sarvopanishado Gavaha Dogdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Geetamritam Mahat Vasude Vasutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyaha Mokshayishyami Ma Shuchaha. So as I said, this is the chapter, this is the session where we are going to be reviewing what Panchamodhyayaha is. As we said, it is the Sannyasa yoga of true renunciation. And so we will see this in a summary form today. So the chapter started with Arjuna's question here, which is karma sannyas better or karma yoga better? As you know, in chapter 3, a similar question was asked, but there it was not a doubt. Here it is a doubt. There it was like, okay, there are two separate paths. So tell me what they are. But here, Krishna has already convinced Arjuna about what the ultimate goal is. So having said the ultimate goal, Arjuna has only a doubt now. So his doubt is, are these two paths actually different? Are they, do they lead to two separate goals? So for that, we find that Lord Krishna then answers for him with and we will be going through the shlokas also. The Lord answers telling him that, well, they're not really different. And how Sankhya, people who are really into this path of knowledge really know the answer, but it's only people who are immature, Pritak Balaha, they don't know it. So then he explains to him really what Sannyasa Yoga is. Sannyasa Yoga is not about just the change of clothes. into orange clothes or anything like that, but it is actually the mental renunciation. It's the, in my mind, I can be anywhere in the world. And that's why there's nothing wrong in being in America. So I'm just joking here. You can be anywhere in the world and still be in the midst of even plentiful. But in my mind, if I'm unable to give up the thought of these objects and relationships, that is one. Also give up the thought of the doership. So that is what in verse number 3, he spoke about it. And then he brings about some comparisons between both. And then finally he says Sankhya and Yoga are nothing but one. They all lead to one, indicating not that, they are like twins or whatever. No, they are not like identical to each other. That is one thing he will say. And they are actually sequential. So first, one has to practice the path of yoga or karma yoga, and then you move on to jnana yoga. And why do we do that? Because karma yoga gives us the purity of mind. And that is the important thing. So he talks about Sankhya and Yoga are one, indicating the path is one, the goal is one, but they are sequential paths. So Karma Yoga is actually a pre-sannyasa. So it's a prerequisite. We have to have that. And then in Shloka 7, he starts with saying that akartritva. He introduces this notion of non-doership. So kartritva means a doer, akartritva, a non-doer. So it starts with yoga yuktaha, indicating that my mind, intellect, everything has to be completely integrated. And what is, then he gives this beautiful, this naiva kinchit karomiti, pashyan shunvan, sprashan jigran, in all my sense things, I really don't do anything at all. The eyes do what it has to do. The hands are doing what it has to do. All that, the hands and everything are doing, but me as consciousness. So you see the Shloka 7 through transitioning to 8 and 9 is important, where we are looking at ultimately the consciousness principle doesn't do anything at all. Similar, just like how we say that in the bulb, in the electric bulb that you can see in front of you, what you have is the electricity provides the power for the bulb, but it's ultimately the act of the filament, the act of turning on the switch, all that which finally gives us the light. But without electricity, nothing can happen. Correct? Without electricity, nothing can happen. Without electricity, there is no bulb. Without electricity, there's no fan. None of those things. So too for us, without consciousness principle, we are nothing. So that is what he's trying to say, that ultimately the consciousness principle is who I am, and my identification needs to be with that consciousness principle. So then from Shloka 10 to 12, having explained how we have to turn our mind inward, he then he gives the various steps to leading to that non-doership. So there's no minus, we say plus and minus, but it's not that minus, but it's mindness. There is no mindness in that at all, in anything and everything I do. So you see how beautifully the Karma Yoga itself is being refined for us slowly and slowly. So ultimately he reaches the goal, he says. And now once we do that, only then we are actually ready for giving up something. It's like, if I did not have this pair of glasses, what would I be giving up, right? So I need to have something to give it up. So too, we can look around our own rooms, we can look around in our lives. What are the things that I want to give up. I don't have to give up having a big boat or something like that, because I don't have a boat. So, but I can, again, here, giving up doesn't mean that I'm saying, okay, just, giving a dhanam of it and then having that boat stick in my mind. Having the thought, oh my God, I gave this boat away. It was so beautiful. I really wanted to go on the boat from Michigan to Wisconsin or something like that. I really wanted to do that. No, it's not that. It's mentally, I should be able to give it up. So in some sense, this kind of giving up is also not easy, right? I mean, you have everything in front of you, but still you should be able to give it up. I remember one Eknath Ishwaran, he gives this beautiful example of what it is, this of giving it up. He's from Kerala, actually. He's originally from Kerala. And one thing that when I go to Chennai from Kerala, my father always says, get me those roasted cashew nuts, because cashew nuts is is really so good here, good quality cashew nuts and everything. So Eknath Ishwaran gives his example of roasted cashew nuts. He says, anything you want to give up, you have it in front of you, so he gets this big, and for us, going to Costco or something, you get these big box of this for $9.99 or whatever. I still remember that. The big box of cashew nuts, have as big a box as you want in front of you. But look at the cashew nuts and tell, you are not taking control of me. I'm in control of you. This is if you're a lover of cashew nuts, okay. I mean, for each one of you, on each one of us, it could be something very different. I know I love cashew nuts, but point is the whatever only what is there within you or which is within your reach is what you can give up. So that's what karma sannyas is. Karma sannyas is not renunciation of action. So renunciation of action, first of all, is action can happen only when there is a desire for something. If you don't have a desire for that particular thing, you may have desire for something else. We also talk as we grow older, we say, oh, I really don't see TV at all these days. Yeah, that's right. But do you see Netflix or whatever, So I may not see TV, that's true, but I may see Netflix, or my attention is going somewhere else. But here the point is that attention has to be within my control. How am I able to be detached with something which is binding me? Just like this example of cashew nuts or anything, what is it that I'm able to bind? So renunciation of action is giving up the action for which I had a certain desire for. And here too, Swami Chinmayananda, if you read the chapter 5, he gives such beautiful examples. He says about how, the steps in which we go with, we actually have a very inert mind. It's only inert mind in the sense our mind is very easily led only for the simple things in life, like eating, sleeping, and going to work. Everything, all this is, the mind is just goes with the flow. He calls that as a kind of an inert mind. At some point in that inert mind, we have to create, we have to make it act. So what do? So we kind of tell the mind, hey, do you like this? Do you like that? You expose it, and then finally the mind thinks, yes, I really have this desire for thing, because it's all in the form of vasanas, which is kind of suppressed in the mind. So you evoke the desire from the mind, create that mind to do the action, let the mind be involved with the action, and then give the mind the knowledge that, this desire is not going to take you to your ultimate desire for permanent happiness. So slowly and slowly you bring up the desire, then give up the fruits of action. That's the third step. The fourth step is make it into a selfless desire. And finally, give up even that selfless desire. So this whole thing, is what is beautifully in chapter 5, gives you all those steps. So you're now ready for this karma sannyas. And then he comes up in this 14, 15, 16, 17. The reason I'm giving you all this is now as we go through the individual shlokas, you will see how they are, explained also. So then he gives his example of how really a sannyasin would act, and how, he recognizes the chain of bondage. Those bondages that ignorance, and that ignorance is destroyed by knowledge. And then finally, the shlokas of, again, beautiful shlokas explaining that sannyasi's vision, sannyasi's qualities, samadarshinaha, samyaha, virtue, equality, sthirabuddhihi. Again, beautiful pointers for us, because by somebody, we may say, show me the perfect person. If you show me the perfect person, then I will be like that person. We may say that. But it is hard to point out to an absolute perfect person, because our mind has to be first clean enough, pure enough to recognize such a person. So we may see the qualities, and from the qualities we can recognize what is that ultimate. So samadarshinaha, samyaha, sthirabuddhihi, asaktaha, independent of external contacts. Bhogaha, facing sensual, this is again the opposite. Kama krodhaha, who's conquered the storms of lust and passion, who's conquered the fruits, basically, who's not going after all the sense pleasures, all that. So then 24, 25, 26 gives you that state of that absolute freedom. And then 27 and 28 is the shlokas, which is leading us to the 6th chapter. And ultimately, to say that all this is possible by none other than that God's grace, which is so true for us, because even for us, on a Wednesday night, for you to be able to sit and listen to Bhagavad Gita, just to listen to that knowledge which Lord Krishna is saying, we should have done so much amount of punyam, So that's the idea here. So this is what I wanted to show as the steps in this 5th chapter. How first it starts with, and for all of us too, it's important to question. It's important because that act of questioning anything, of course, for many of us, we may not have the doubt, because we have, number one, we have faith. Because we have faith, we may not question. And the second thing is that we have, maybe in the previous lives, we have gone through this, and so we don't have a question. I'm ready for the next level. But Bhagavad Gita gives you the steps, and particularly chapter 5, the steps are, first, there is this clarification, which Arjuna was asking, correct? And then next is, Krishna is giving him ideas on how to progress in this karma yoga, followed by karma sannyas yoga. From karma yoga, we're going into karma sannyas yoga. And then as I move into karma sannyas yoga, I'm really now experiencing what freedom really means. What earlier I thought freedom was, if I can do anything and everything. But here it is about milestones in freedom. What are the different qualities within myself that I see? Maybe I see much more calmness. Nothing bothers me anymore. The weather may change. People are yelling at me or screaming at me. I am calm. That could be a measure of freedom, right? And finally, that state of absolute freedom. What is that state? Leading to it. and finally a peek into that, into what that self-abidance means. That is the last shlokas where he gives us simple tips, and to show that when I practice these tips of meditation, that is how that feels like. That state in which I enter into in meditation, that is a state which great Mahatmas are all the time. So this is the steps here. So I'll stop here, and just any thoughts or any more things that you can add to just the short summary of the whole chapter itself.
Hari Om, you have summarized it very nicely, and it is. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I wanted to see how simply we can put this chapter 5. It's a powerful chapter, and as we go through these shlokas, I will point to specific phrases, which will give you a kind of a pointer, and which you can also use as something as, when we were in Sandipani, we used to make a note of the important shlokas from every chapter. And I'll just point out to some of that importance of particular phrases and things which can be used as a nice meditative tool or something to reflect upon.
It is definitely both a reflective tool and also something to meditate upon, because once you understand, it could be a complete phrase or it could be just one word. That word, you might lose yourself in that one word, and that is all we are looking for. In this whole Bhagavad Gita of 700 plus slokas, 700 slokas, we are looking for that one word that we can connect with and we can identify with, and gain realization.
Exactly. See, in that sense, these words have so powerful a meaning because they are a crutch for us to hold on to, right? Like the minute I say karma yoga, immediately, even in a conversation, and this is the thing, right? We should be using a lot of these words in our conversations and everything. The more and more I use these words in conversations, then what happens is my mind is also more into this knowledge, because this is the only thing that is having a calming effect on us, which they are pointers to how I should be, because my true nature is different. My true nature is something which is not really bogged down by the world. My true nature is not something which gets attracted to the material objects or, these things. But by using these words, that really helps. So well said, Suvarna.
Hari Om, Sunitha ji.
Hari Om, Amlan.
Can you briefly tell one more time about milestones in freedom?
Yeah, so the milestones in freedom, I'll show you, is the here. So these things here, starting with shloka number 17, where one gets established in knowledge, and the milestone we want to reach is like samadarshinaha, equal vision. This one shloka which will come up, which is, whether you see a pandit who has high humility, or you see, he gives us a dog eater, he calls us a dog eater, I should have an equal vision. Whoever I meet, I should not use a judgment, on this person is different or that person. I'll only be friends with this person. I won't be friends with that person, that kind. So in very common layman term, but Samadarshinaha is seeing that Atman in everyone. So that is one milestone. Then Samyaha, being the virtue of equality, is somewhat similar to Samadarshinaha, But again, explaining about what is that? There are two words which will come up. But the ability to practice equality. And then sthira buddhihi is again, the ups and downs in life. I'm being completely equal on all that, equipoise. So equipoise and equality, these are two different things. And then asaktaha, independent of external contacts. And not saktaha means bonded, dependent. Asaktaha being independent. And then kama, krodha, bhoga. All these are the milestones which I need to go past. Does that help, Amlan?
Thank you, Sunitha ji. Thank you.
So again, when we think about using the words of samadarshinaha, asaktaha, these are good words, Maybe we can tell our child, can you be asaktaha for 1 second? So we will first go through again shloka by shloka, just a reiteration of the words I said. We won't be, doing the shlokas or anything. And then at the end, we will actually chant it. So here, the first shloka is basically, Arjuna asking those two questions, which is better, yoga, the path of yoga, or the path of renunciation of action. So do I participate in action or do I give up actions? That is his question here. So then Krishna tells him, again, see the beauty of Lord Krishna is something to learn from his mastery as a teacher. He understands that from the way the question is asked, he offers the answer. He says, look at Arjuna, the yoga of action is better, is even better than renunciation of action. Now, if we didn't have, our great Guru Parampara explaining to us what this is, we may say, oh, in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna really says that you have to do your karma yoga. So karma yoga is much better than jnana yoga, So that's what somebody who may not have understood that would have thought in the shloka. But in reality, Krishna understands who Arjuna is and gives that answer. So the mastery of Krishna is coming out here as a teacher to understand the student and explain it. And then he gives the sannyasis quality here, which is a person who is nirdvandvaha. Again, another beautiful word for meditation, nirdvandvaha. Nir is that upasarga. In Sanskrit, we did this many upasargas. So nir means it's, and then dvandva means opposites. So in Brahman, there is no opposite. There is only one. But in our life, everything it is a pair of opposite. Everything, some people like it hot, some people like it cold. Everything is opposite. So nirdvandvaha. Can I be a nirdvandvaha? I know it's a hard name to pronounce, to give a child that name, but so nirdvandvaha. And nadveshti, doesn't hate anybody. Again, beautiful milestone to remember. And nitya sannyasi, he's eternal. He's the person is always, always a person who doesn't have a desire. And then this shloka basically just Krishna is telling him, Sankhya yoga pratak balaha pravadantina panditaha ekam apyastitha samyak ubhayor vindate phalam. Here Krishna is assuring Arjuna, maybe he would have thought that, I told Arjuna, okay, Arjuna, go for it. Do whatever you want, practice this path of action. So, he's kind of giving him assurance that, that doesn't mean that the path of Jnana Yoga is bad. I want to tell you, both of them actually leads you to the same goal, which is what he's telling in this one here. Yat Sankhye Prapyate Sthanam Tadyo Gairapit Gamyate Ekam Sankhyam Cha Yogam Cha Yaf Pashyati Sapashyati. So here the key words are Yaf Pashyati Sapashyati. This is a beautiful phrase. You will see many people quote this, which is to say the person who sees, he sees. That's what it means. The person who sees, he sees. So he's not talking about the act of perceiving through our senses, or through our eyes or anything, but through the mind. The idea is a person who has understood what these two paths mean. That person is correctly understood that he sees Atman. That person who sees Atman in everyone is the person who actually sees something. It's like for us, Diwali just got over, right? And we go to a party or a dinner and we made 10 different sweets. We have badshahs, we have gulab jamun, rasagullas, everything. And I say, you know what? I really like gulab jamun, but I don't like rasagulla. Okay. But the person, Yaf Pashyati Sapashyati, will say, you know what? After all, there are nothing but sugar. Wake up, man. What is there? They're all just sugar. So what if it's badshah? So what if it is gulab jamun or this one? It's all sugar, So that's the Yaf Pashyati Sapashyati means. Ultimately, they know the true essence of what it is, So that is the phrase there. Then here, Sanyasastu Mahabaho Dukkham Aptum Ayogataha Yoga Yukto Munir Brahma Na Achirenadhi Kachati. So this is to say that the minute I recognize, just going back to the previous example, that it is nothing but sugar, and if I know that sugar is binding, I will give it up right away, right? Sugar. That's in the case of sugar. Here we are not giving up Brahman, I'm just making clear. But the point is, the second I understand something and I'm convinced about it, that's it. The game is over. That's what he's saying. Na achirenadi gacchati. That person has immediately reached that goal. We don't have to struggle. That's the whole beauty about this path. There is absolutely no struggle at all. Everything is only in our mind, in the sense that knowledge has to dawn on us that we are leading a very temporary life. We're temporary life in the sense we are living a life where we're looking for happiness in temporary objects. If I just get it, that's it. The game is over. So that's what he's saying. Na achirenadi gacchati. Now, yoga yuktaha vishuddhatma Vichitatma jitendriyaha sarva bhutatma kurvan api na lipyate. So he's now coming to explain how a person who actually got this knowledge. So he says such a person, vishuddhatma, again, beautiful meditative words. Vishuddha means pure. Atma, vishuddhatma. Here the Atma refers to the mind. Vijitatma, Vijay, Vijay means victory. So Vijay, one who has conquered the body. Then Jita Indriyaha. Jita means again, who has conquered, who has controlled. Jitendriya. There used to be a film actor, right? Jitendra. Once, I have never seen that name afterwards, but now I know how he got his name. Sarva Bhuta Atma Bhutatma. One who sees his own self. Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma. Again, another beautiful phrase. So see how many, fifth chapter is so beautiful because it has all the words which will lead us towards that knowledge. Such a person, even while doing something, doesn't get is not tainted, in the sense, he doesn't get any of the vasanas. So for all of us, when we, for example, when I take that gulab jamun with a sense of enjoyment in it, and I'm wanting more, I get the sin of having that enjoyment. But if I just enjoy it with the fact that, okay, this is what my sense or organs are asking, I will just enjoy it and I will leave it, then it doesn't affect me. So kurvan na api lipyate. So that's the shloka here. And then we have these next two shlokas, naiva kinchit karomi te yukto manyet tatvavit pashyan shrunvan sprashan jigran ashnan gachan swapan shwasan pralapan visrajan jigrinan unmishan nimishan api indriyani indriyartheshu vartanta iti dharayan. So explaining about a person who says he's doing nothing at all because he knows it's only his sense organs that is acting in the world, doing, seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, going, sleeping, breathing, then speaking, letting go, seizing, holding with his hands, unmission, opening his eyes, closing them. All this, it's only the sense organs, but he himself doesn't do anything. It's like the fuel in the car. The fuel by itself gives the car the ability to move, but it by itself is not moving. Everything else moves. So so think about the example of the car when you think about these shlokas. Then Brahman yadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyate nasa papena padmapatra mivam basa. So the key word here is padmapatra mivam basa, which is, let us be like this lotus leaf, even in the midst of being in murky waters, nothing affects it. It remains shining. So that's the thing here. He who offers his action to Brahman, who abandons attachment, is not tainted by sin, even as the lotus leaf is unaffected by water. And then kayena manasa buddhya kevalaihi indriyahi api yoginaha karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva atma shuddhaye. So such a person, in every aspect, from the kaya, manaha, buddhi, we have kayena vacha, manase, buddhya, the same thing is shown here. So whenever I say kayena vacha, I can think about the shloka here, about how by the body, the mind, the intellect, and even the senses recognize that only those are doing this. The yogis perform action, abandoning attachment to purify the mind. So constantly the yogis remember this, that ultimately it's only these things that are doing it. I am not doing anything. In the sense, the Atman, am not doing anything. Yukta karma phalat tyaktva shantim apnoti naishtikim ayuktaha kama karena phale sakto nibhadyate. So such a person, which he is explaining from here, the yogi, one who is established in yuktaha tyaktva, karma phalam tyaktva. Again, another beautiful word, karma phalam tyaktva, shantim apnoti. Such a person goes to shanti or attains shanti, peace. Whereas a person who is not established, ayuktaha, because of the desires, he gets bound. So this is the part I need to remember. This part I need to forget. Ayuktaha karma phalam shantim apnoti naishtikim. And then sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadware pure dehi naiva kurvan na karayan. So navadware pure dehi. This I just remember my nephew Varun. When he was young, when he was 6 or 7, I think, he had Shardanti had that competition. And he had memorized this, I think this chapter. And he was always this, what is this 9 gates? What is this 9 gates, you would ask? Navadware pure dehi. How come this body has 9 gates? So sarva karmani manasa sanyas aste sukham vashi. So having renounced these actions, the person remains within this fortress. So indicating that, we are a body with 9 gates, but he recognizes again similar theme as the previous one, na kurvan, na karyan. Then na kartritvam, na karmani, lokasya srijati prabhuhu, na karma phala sanyogam, svabhavastu pravartate. So neither agency nor actions does the sannyasin cause for the world, nor is he concerned with the fruit of action, but it is very nature that determines them. So again, trying to na katritvam. So this is the turn. So the previous shlokas were talking about karma yoga. Now we're getting into karma sannyasa yoga, part of it. So you see how he's introducing this non-doership. So a person who is established in this knowledge doesn't have that sense that I did it. Na kartritvam, na karmani. Does this na karma phala sanyogam. He's not concerned. And such a beautiful thing in where I just do what I have to do, and then I leave it to God, Na adate kasyachit papam, na chaiva sukritam vibhuhu, ajnane na vritam jnanam, tena mukhyanti jantavaha. So neither the demerits of anyone are taken, nor the merits by the sannyasin. By ignorance is enveloped knowledge, and thereby beings are deluded. So it's this ajnana, which is what is preventing this knowledge to shine. And so he says this word vibhuhu is beautiful here. Vibhuhu indicating that is the, I think I have the word, eternal essence. Again, vibhuhu is the word for Brahman. So explaining again from here, when he explained that, I'm not the doer, then who am I? I am that vibhuhu. I am that absolute Brahman. That Brahman which is everywhere is me also. That is to say that. Then jnanena tu tadajnanam yesham nashitam atmanaha tesham aditya vajnanam prakashayati tatparam. So what is the greatness of this knowledge? It is always available. That knowledge is always there. Brahman is everywhere. So this is an important shloka from a meditative standpoint, to remember that Brahman is nothing. Like if we have to even bring Brahman to as an analogy, he's explaining that as a sun. Even to see the sun, we need the light of knowledge. It is only because of the light of knowledge, it's only because of Brahman that my eyes are able to see that sun. And so he's giving that knowledge of the sun to explain that consciousness principle within myself. So just like the sun is there everywhere and it prakashayati, adityavat jnanam prakashayati. So like the sun, this knowledge also illumines everything. Tat param, tat referring to that Brahman, it is that eternal essence. And so through knowledge, we are able to destroy that ignorance, because in the previous shloka, he says that ignorance envelops that knowledge. So he says that, and tad buddhayaha, tadatmanaha, tad nishtaha, tad parayanaha, gachanti punaravrittim, jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. So this is again, the shloka is very similar to this, how quickly achirenadi gacchati. So here he says, apunaravrittim. That is the comparison you can make. Earlier in the shloka was achirenadi gacchati. You can get the knowledge so quickly. Here he's saying apunaravrittim, for which there is no coming back at all. Once this knowledge hits, and in chapter 6, you will see some shlokas, about some doubts which are raised about what happens. I mean, if I get this knowledge, will I really fall down again? So he's saying, no, not really, because of course, in there, he will explain about if that knowledge is not sunken fully. If this knowledge has sunken fully into our mind, then where tad buddhaya, the intellect, the mind, tad buddhayaha, tadatmanaha, tan nishtaha, 3 words, and who find tat parayanaha. So again, beautiful meditative words, all of them. When I have that, then I reach that state from which there is no return at all. Apunaravrittim. And then vidya vinaya sampanne brahmani gavi hastini shuni chaiva chashva pakecha Panditaha Samadarshinaha. Samadarshinaha, this word which we said just now. And so what does it mean having Samadarshinaha? Which is looking at a Brahmin or as a dog eater, a non-Brahmin, I guess. And then Shuni Chaiva, so, or even a dog or even an outcast. If, you look at everyone with an equal eye. Such beautiful compassion and love that is shown in this verse here. And then ihaiva tairjita sargaha yesham samye sthitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmat brahmani te sthitaha. So this is not something that I need to go somewhere. We can do it right here. Iha eva taihi jitaha sargaha. I can actually conquer this world. Conquer the world meaning not that I'm going to go out and hitting things and everything, but in my mind, being in the world, I'm not allowing things and the object come into my mind. So I have conquered the world that way. So samye sthitam, equanimity is established. Nirdosham, defect free. And then harmoniously. So I'm established in that essence. Na prakrishyet priyam prapya, no dvijet prapya cha apriyam. Sthira buddhirasam mudaha, brahmavid brahmani sthitaha. So neither rejoicing on obtaining the pleasant nor grieving on obtaining. So again, these are the signposts of a sannyasi. He's explaining who a Brahmavid. Who is a Brahmavid? Brahmavid, Brahmani Sitaha. So again, many beautiful words here. Sthira buddhihi. And then udvijet. Somebody who doesn't get perturbed by priyam or apriyam, na udvijet prapya cha apriyam, and brahmavid brahmani sitaha. So sthira buddhihi, udvijet. Literally, I think we can come up with 108 words from here for Japamala, from the 5th chapter. How many such beautiful words? Na prakrishyet priyam, udvijet, sthira buddhihi, asammudaha. Asammudaha. Mudaha means deluded. Asammudaha, who is undeluded. Brahmavid brahmani sitaha. Then next one, bahya sparsheshva saktatma vindhatyatmani yat sukham sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnute. So bahya, external sense objects. This person without attachment, the mind independent of external objects, finds happiness in the self. Such a person who has now kept everything outside will automatically start looking inward for that happiness. He doesn't have to do anything. First step, keep everything outside the door. Just like we keep our slippers outside the door. Here, big difference. When I'm working here, I can actually walk without my slippers up and down in my office here, because right outside my office is a beautiful Saraswati statue, really beautiful. And, you just don't feel like wearing slippers at all in the university campus. So I should remember this part of it and how I can bring it back to the mind here. So, bahya sparsheshva asaktatma vindat atmani yat sukham sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnute. The person immediately, the minute I keep everything outside, my mind will start looking inside for the happiness. Yehi samsparshaja bhogaha dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. So such a person, he recognizes that the enjoyments are born out of contacts and they are only generators of pain. Now one may say, why pain? Because everything that gives me temporary happiness will lead to temporary unhappiness also. That I have to remember. Too much of sweets when I eat will give me, we know what. So, and they have a beginning and they have an end. So again, a beautiful shloka for reflection. Yehi samsparshaja bhogaha dukkha yonaya evate adi antavanta kaunteya nateshu ramati buddha. Then shaknoti haiva yasodo prak sharira mokshanat kama krodod bhavam vegam sayukta sasukhi naraha. So he's reminding us Kama, Krodha, Udbhavam, Vegam. Vegam, which is the force rising out of the Kama, Krodhas, they are the ones which are obstacles. So he who is able to withstand all this before the liberation from the body, he's a yogi, he's a happy man. So such a person is truly a realized person. Yonta Sukontara Ramaha Tatantara Jyotihi Eva Yaha Sayogi Brahma Nirvanam Brahma Bhuta Adhigachati. Again, third time he's reminding us the person attains that freedom immediately when the person starts to see the happiness within himself or herself. Here, Antaha Sukha, Antaha inside Sukha, Antaha Ramaha. So not only does he find that happiness, but he is abiding in that happiness. He's enjoying in that happiness. And who recognizes the Antaha Jyoti Evayaha, and who is totally convinced that is the only thing that I need to know, that Jyoti which is within myself. Such a person reaches that state of Brahma Nirvanam. And then that Brahma Nirvanam, Labante Brahma Nirvanam, is obtained by one who is Kshina Kalmashaha, Chinna Dvaita Yata Atmanaha. All these things, words have come before also. Kshina Kalmashaha, Chinna Dvaita Yata Atmanaha, and Yatatmanaha, and Sarva Bhuta Hiterataha. Again, second time, the word Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma had come before. Now it is Sarva Bhuta Hiterataha. Beautiful words again for meditation. And then Kama Krodod Viyuktanam Yatinam Yatachetasam Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vardate Vidatmanam. A second time, Kama Krodha word has come here for somebody who is free of desire and anger. Such a person attains that Brahma Nirvanam. And so you see, fifth chapter is really leading us to the state in chapter 6. When we come to meditation, the idea is how to remain in that state of Brahma Nirvanam. How many times the word Brahman has come here already, you know? So in meditation, I have to focus on this aspect of my true self, which is Brahma, and that Brahma Nirvanam. Then Sparshan Kritva Bahir Bahyan Chakshu Eva Cha Eva Antare Bruvoho Prana Apana Samau Kritva Nasa Bhyantara Charina. These are 27 and 28 are tips for meditation, where he's talking about this control of the mind, by shutting off external objects, and then the tips of focusing. It's the focus, the concentration he's talking about, and then also to harmonize our breathing, going inward and outward, and then also controlling the senses, mind, and intellect. Yatendriya manobuddhihi munihi moksha parayanaha vigataha moksha vigata ichha bhaya krodhaha ya sada mukta evasaha. So that person is totally liberated. And ultimately, this is all possible only by the grace, which is Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam Jnatva Mam Shantin Vrichati. So this is where we are. I know we have a few minutes. We will, of course, chant. But prior to that, I want to ask any questions or any thoughts or on what was your favorite shlokas in this whole 29 verses. Small chapter, fifth chapter was small, but heavily loaded, which is probably why I probably took about 3 sessions more than I thought I would. But then we also had a lot of holidays in between. We had Navaratri, we had Diwali, we had Swamiji's Yajnas. So because of that, I think fifth chapter really dragged a little bit here. But any particular shlokas that appeal to you the most, or which you think you can use as meditative shlokas? What do you think?
Number 16 is it focuses on the jnanam, which is a knowledge.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
You like 16, very nice. Yeah, Jnanena tu tadadjnanam. Yeah, that's a good shloka for reflection. I mean, remembering and meditation. Yeah.
And if you remember that sun is everywhere,
Yes.
so that so that's why the jnanam is everywhere.
Correct. Tesham aditya vajnanam prakashayati tatparam. Thank you, Anand.
Sunitha, I
Yeah.
think like he explained so very well actually in 5th chapter about like how we should be, what is karma yoga and what is sannyasa yoga and everything. But I thought like, as he said, like even the sloka number 18, which it says like vidya vinayam sampanne brahmane gavi, that is the first step, I think. Once you start seeing, divinity in everybody, that is the first step. You make yourself like very calm, and you don't get disturbed because you have that equal vision in everything. That's what I think, like, that's what I felt. Based on all these slokas, this is the first step to begin with any practice, to start the practice. That's what I thought. Like,
Yeah. So, but then to come to that level of seeing
yeah,
everyone, we need some knowledge.
right,
you know?
right. Yeah, after
So
knowledge
that
itself.
only
Yeah,
after knowledge. Yeah. Then
little
you
bit.
see that
Yeah,
Samadarshi. Yeah.
right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. If nobody has any other thoughts,
Yeah.
this
If nobody is asking, then I will say something.
Please do.
I like the question, first of all, when Arjuna asked, which is better, Karma Yoga or Karma Sannyas? And then the answer is given, and this is very good that Bhagavan Sri Krishna here clearly told that Karma Yoga is better than Karma Sannyas. And he also clarified what it is later on.
Correct.
That
Correct.
it is not that one is better than other. Both paths lead to the same, but Karma Yoga is better. It is basically customized for Arjun type of people, which we are basically.
Exactly.
That's what is very important point here to understand. I think that Karma Yoga, why it is better than Karma Sannyas. Karma Sannyas is always very higher level. It is difficult for whom basically. Both the path, two different things, but it is difficult for whom? It is difficult for us. That's why Bhagavan Sri Krishna made easier for us that don't try to jump. This is the easiest path, and this is better. This is what you try to do, then you will not be dukhi. If without
Correct.
doing this, you try to practice karma sannyas, you might be dukhi. I think that's what is the very important point he clarified in the beginning itself. Then later on, all the explanation comes, all the supporting document and information, basically what he is trying to explain.
Exactly. No, you brought up the point of in 5th chapter so well, which is really who is this knowledge being given for? And that is people like us.
Yes.
And again, for us, let's not kid ourselves. Let's not kid ourselves in the sense, am I really ready to give up everything and go? Okay, if you're not, then what do I do? And that's the way Krishna is addressing Arjuna. Arjuna has had a wrong impression on really what sannyas yoga means. And for us too, many times when we look at somebody who is who has given up everything, or what do we say? Oh, that looks pretty good. Maybe I can do that. And I remember this once, just a simple story about one of my friends in my Toastmasters. She actually, at the age of 17 or 18, she saw a couple of nuns driving a bicycle and going. And she thought, wow, this is cool. Maybe I should become a nun too. And she actually gave up everything. And for 18 years, she was a nun. She became a nun. she lived that life and everything. And then finally, I don't know the whole story about it, but she actually came back to Grahastha life, then she got married to somebody in her own street who had lost his wife and who had 5 children to take care. So she got married to him and then took care of the whole family, and all that. So point being, we have to recognize where we are in our life and take appropriate steps. And that is what Krishna is telling here to Arjuna. Okay, so
I got disconnected in between. Sunitha ji, about whom you are talking about? Who was that?
this is one of my friends from Toastmasters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A very, very nice class today, and he summarized the whole thing, and it was beautiful.
Thank you. I thanks to you, I was also able to enjoy this chapter, really. So I have to thank all of you for giving me this opportunity to enjoy it and to spend the time on this, So we will chant the whole shlokas and then we'll finish off by the last couple of our closing shlokas. Okay. And then next week we'll be ready for chapter 6. I'm really excited about chapter 6. I think it's the culmination of this bhaga, one particular commentator of Bhagavad Gita has divided this whole chapters of Bhagavad Gita into 3 parts, which is in line with Tattvam Asi, the Mahavakya. So what we have learned so far is who is this Tvam? Who is this that you are? Tat Tvam Asi, that you are. So we have so far addressed what you is. Who is that you? And it will culminate with meditation on that aspect of you, that Atman. And in order to understand that Atman, what are the steps that I have to take in meditation? So chapter 6, next week we'll do that. So let's chant the whole shlokas. Atha panchamodhyayah Arjuna uvacha Sanyasam karmanam Krishna Punaryogam cha shamsasi Yachreya etayorekam Tanme bruhi sunishchitam Shri Bhagavan uvacha Sanyasa karma yogascha Nishreya sakara vubhau Tayostu karma sanyasad Karma yogo vishishyate Jneyasa nitya sanyasi Yo nadveshti na kamshati Nirtvandvo hi mahabaho Sukham bandhat pramuchyate Sankhya yoga prutak balaha Pravadanti na panditaha Ekam abhyasthita samyak Ubhayor vindate phalam Yat sankhya prapyate sthanam Tadyogairapi gamyate Ekam sankhyam cha yogam cha Yaf pashyati sapashyati Sanyasastu mahabaho Dukkhamaptuma yogataha Yoga yukto munir brahma Nachirena digacchati Yoga yukto vishuddhatma Vijitatma jitendriyaha Sarva bhutatma bhutatma Purvannapi na lipyate Naiva kinchit karomiti Yukto manyeta tattvavit Pashyan shunvan sprishan jigran Ashnan gachan swapan shwasan Pralapan visrajan ghanan Unmishan nimishan napi Indriyani indriyateshu Vartanta ita dharayan Brahmanyadhaya karmani Sangam tyaktva karoti yaha Lipyate nasapapena Padmapatra vimambhasa. I'm going to mute you. Yeah. Kayena manasa buddhya Kevalair indriyairapi Yogina karma kurvanti sangam tyaktvatma shuddhaye yukta karma phalam tyaktva shantimapnoti naishtikim ayukta kamakarena phale sakto nibadhyate sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan na kartrutvam na karmani lokasya srujati prabhu na karma phala sanyogam svabhavastu pravartate nadatte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukrutam vibhuhu ajnanenavritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानं येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषाम् आदित्यवज्ञानं प्रकाशयति तत्परं तद्बुद्धयस्तदात्मानं तन्निष्ठास्तत्परायणाः गच्छन्त्य पुनरावृत्तिं ज्ञाननिर्धूतकल्मषाः विद्या विनयसम्पन्ने ब्राह्मणे गविहस्तिनि शुनि चैव श्वपाके च पंडिता समदर्शिनः इहैव तैर्जितः सर्गः येषां साम्ये स्थितं मनः निर्दोषं हि समं ब्रह्म तस्माद् ब्रह्मणि ते स्थिताः न प्रहृष्येत् प्रियं प्राप्य नोद्विचेत् प्राप्य चाप्रियम् स्थिरबुद्धिरसम्मूढः ब्रह्मविद् ब्रह्मणि स्थितः बाह्यस्पर्शेष्वसक्तात्मा विन्दत्यात्मनि यत्सुखं स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखमक्षयमश्नुते ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगाः दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्त कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः शक्नोति हैव यः सोढुं प्राक्शरीरविमोक्षणात् कामक्रोधोद्भवं वेगं स युक्तः स सुखी नरः योऽन्तः सुखोऽन्तरारामः तथान्तर्ज्योतिरेव यः स योगी ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं ब्रह्मभूतादिगच्छति लभन्ते ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं ऋषयः क्षीणकल्मषाः छिन्नद्वैधायतात्मानः सर्वभूतहिते रताः कामक्रोधवियुक्तानां यतीनां यतचेतसाम् अभितो ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं वर्तते विदितात्मनाम् स्पर्शान् कृत्वा बहिर्बाह्यान् चक्षुश्चैवान्तरे भ्रुवोः प्राणापानौ समौ कृत्वा नासाभ्यन्तरचारिणौ यतेन्द्रियमनोबुद्धिः मुनिर्मोक्षपरायणाः विगते चाभयक्रोधः यः सदा मुक्त एव सः भोक्तारं यज्ञतपसां सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं सुहृदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति। ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे संन्यासयोगो नाम पञ्चमोऽध्यायः। सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you, everyone. So we will see
Thank you so much, Sunitha ji.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sunitha.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sunitha ji.